All right, today we are diving into a genuine historical cold case. We're on the hunt for a lost Roman settlement. But here's the twist. Our main clues aren't buried ruins, they're words. We're going to follow a trail of breadcrumbs left in place names to see if we can literally put a town back on the map.
So think about this for a second. What if a place name wasn't just, a label? What if it was actually a treasure map, one that could lead us through 2,000 years of history? Well, that's the exact idea we're going to chase to find the lost town of Caesariana.
Okay, so our mystery kicks off with this ancient Roman station called Caesariana. Now, for centuries, historians and archaeologists knew it had to be somewhere in the Lucania region of southern Italy. But where exactly? That was a complete puzzle.
And look, this wasn't just some small academic disagreement. For years, people were proposing theories that placed Caesariana all over the place. We're talking at least 6 different sites, some of them tens of kilometers apart. It was a total geographical guessing game.
Now, one of the key pieces of evidence was this incredible document, the Tabula Peutingeriana. It's basically a roadmap of the Roman Empire, and it places a town called Caesarina, a slightly different version of the name, right on the coast, just 7 Roman miles from the known town of Blanda. So case closed, right? Well, not so fast. Because this is what created the whole mystery in the first place. There's another ancient source, the Antonine Itinerary, that lists Caesariana on an inland road, nowhere near the coast. So which one do you believe, coastal or inland? This one single contradiction managed to stump researchers for centuries.
To solve this, we actually have to stop looking at maps for a second and instead focus on the most powerful clue we've got, the name itself. The name Caesariana holds the key to the whole thing. And the special tool we're going to use is called toponymy. It's the study of place names. You can really think of it as linguistic forensics. By digging into how names are born and how they change over time, you can uncover these amazing hidden histories.
So, what does Caesariana actually tell us? Well, it pretty much screams Caesar. And specifically, it's pointing to the first emperor, Octavian Augustus. And this makes perfect sense because Augustus had deep family roots in this exact part of Italy. His ancestors were from here, his grandfather was a banker in a nearby town. And get this, the neighboring town of Blanda was even renamed Blanda Iulia to honor his family. So yeah, there was a really strong motive for a town around here to be named after him.
So let's follow that name. I mean, if a place was important enough to be named for the emperor himself, its memory probably didn't just vanish into thin air. It more likely transformed. Let's follow this incredible 2,000-year paper trail and see where it leads. And this is where it gets really cool. The evolution of the name tells the whole story. Caesariana first changes in the 7th century when it gets linked to the goddess Venus, Veneris, because Augustus's family famously claimed they were descended from her. Then, by the 14th century, it's just Divi, which is a nod to Augustus's title Divi Filius, or Son of the Divine. A century after that, it's simply the Emperor's Tower. And today, the area is known as Santa Venere, or Saint Venus, a pretty clear Christian takeover of the original pagan goddess.
The trail on our treasure map gets even hotter with this 14th century document. Look at that. Right there on the coast, exactly where Caesariana should be, is the name Dive. This is not a random word, people. It's that direct reference to the emperor's divine status. It proves the memory of its special connection was still alive, just hiding in a new form. And by the 15th century, the name shifts again. Now, the same spot is marked as Torrione del Imperatore, which means the emperor's tower. The reference becomes more direct again, even if it's not as specific as Caesar. It's like the imperial legacy of this place just refuses to be forgotten. So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, this is a fascinating theory, but is it just a wild coincidence? Well, to prove it wasn't, researchers looked to another place Augustus spent a lot of time, the nearby island of Ischia. And what they found there was just astounding. On an old map of Ischia, there's a peninsula called Promontorium Caesareo, Caesar's promontory. What's it called today? Punta Imperatore, Emperor's Point. The exact same linguistic shift from Caesar to emperor happened here too. It's this recurring pattern that just seals the deal. In both Lucania and Ischia, places linked to Augustus followed the same unique naming system.
The name evolves from Caesar to emperor, and it's always associated with Venus. See, in Ischia, a nearby beach is called Cetera, for Venus Cypherian. This is way too specific to be a coincidence. It's a linguistic fingerprint.
Okay, so with the linguistic evidence totally locked in, it's time to go back to the map. We have the what, a town named for Augustus. Now we just need to nail down the where.
Let's rewind all the way back to our very first clue. From that old Roman road map, it said the town was located 7 Roman miles from Blanda. That's a very specific distance, just a little over 10 kilometers. And here's the magic. When you follow that 2,000-year paper trail of the name, from Caesariana to Lycia, to Emperor's Tower, and finally to Santa Venere, and then you measure out 7 Roman miles along the coast from the ruins of ancient Blanda, you land squarely on one spot, the modern-day area of Santa Venere in Maratea. All the clues point right here.
The linguistic case is closed. But, for that final, absolutely definitive confirmation, we need to put a shovel in the ground. Is there any actual physical archaeological evidence at Santa Venere? Well, it turns out there is, and there has been for a long time. As far back as 1836, a historian named Andrea Lombardi documented extensive Roman ruins right there in Santa Venere. He described seeing a small temple, mosaic floors, tons of tombs, and all kinds of artifacts. But here's the real smoking gun. Lombardi mentioned that the temple was built using something called opus reticulatum, a very distinctive diamond-patterned brickwork. Why does that matter? Because that specific building technique was used almost exclusively during one period in Roman history, the Augustan Age. The ruins date to the exact time of the emperor they were named for. Case closed.
So the mystery of Caesariana was solved, not really by digging, but by listening. By listening to the story a name had been telling for 2 millennia. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other forgotten histories, what other hidden maps are concealed in the names of the towns, streets, and fields all around us, just waiting for someone to read them?